Yes, clapping, lots of clapping. Very good, rooting and very good. Ron Lamprecht, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, everybody, give it up for Andy. Andy and everybody else tonight. All right. I think cholos get a bad rap. Oh, I mean, I know they're violent and we talk about the crime sprees, but those people can sure press a shirt. I did a show in Milwaukee. After the show, the manager came up and he did this. He goes, like, do you want to smoke a joint? And I said, no, thank you. And then he shrugged and walked away, but then he turned around and he did this in his arm. And I was like, slow down there, Walter White. I think we've missed a couple of step-off points between blazing up and going full-on Belushi on the bit. You don't understand how we gradually work our way up to things, right? Like he wants to go from weed straight to heroin and doesn't get it. Like he's the guy who, if you have a cough, offers you a cough drop, and when that doesn't work, he recommends chemotherapy. Like, no, there's things in between. Like you're gonna take your kids out to see a movie. Hey, let's go see Moana. Oh, Moana's not playing? That's okay, Revenge of the Nerds is playing. No. Some of these are a work in progress, stay with me. I have a buddy of mine, I was talking with him, and he knows I got these 3 kids, and he goes, I bet you're really good with kids. I said, I'm not good with kids. I'm not good with kids at all. He goes, no, I bet you're really good with kids. I said, here's an example of how I'm not good with kids. This is a conversation I had. Why the hell would you let this happen? This isn't what I wanted at all. I work so hard every day just to have a little glimpse of something for me, a little glimmer of something that makes me happy. I worked and worked and worked, and then you came in and just messed the whole thing up, and now I have this, and it's not at all what I wanted, and it's just, this is so insane and unfair. And that is a conversation I had with a frying pan and eggs when I was trying to make an omelet. So no, not good with kids. I grew up in a small town. We had K through 12 in the same building, all the K through 12 in the same building. It was very cool, right? And one of my good friends, the neat thing about K through 12 is that you get to know these people from birth basically right up until you leave town. And it was very cool. My good friend Chris was what we now know is on the spectrum. But back in the day, we didn't have a spectrum. We didn't know about the spectrum. Chris was just weird, but Chris was my friend, and he was the kind of weird that we understood. He was my good friend. Now, the neat thing about Chris was there were these 3 things that Chris could do that just blew my mind. For starters, Chris could tell you the B-side of every 45 pressed from 1950 to 1959. And that makes no sense for somebody born in 1971, but it was kind of a cool thing anyway, right? The next thing about Chris, which was very interesting, was Chris would never lie. Never ever told a lie, and that is interesting to me. And the third thing about Chris, and that ties this up in a nice little bow, is every morning before school started, Chris would be out in front of the building climbing the flagpole. Never understood why until one day at recess I asked him, I said, Chris, why are you always out there climbing the flagpole? And Chris said to me, and remember, he doesn't lie, he looked me dead in the eye and he said, Ron, it makes my wiener feel funny. Here's the thing, he was right. The next morning, there were like 12 of us out there dry humping that flagpole. Growing up in small town Minnesota, we were middle class poor. And if you don't know what middle class poor is, I will tell you. Middle class poor means you had most of the things you need, but almost none of the things you want. And that's an important distinction because we had cereal, but it was really bad cereal, okay? Like my friends, my rich friends were eating Sugar Smacks, we were eating puffed wheat. And if you don't know what puffed wheat is, I'll explain it to you. It is exactly like Sugar Smacks without the sugar or the smack. Otherwise, it's identical, okay? Here's the thing. If if you don't know what Sugar Smacks is, or what puffed wheat is, I'll explain it to you, okay? Puffed wheat is such a bad cereal that the manufacturer thought they could make it better by injecting it with air, okay? They're like, hey, this isn't good. What should we do? Make it bigger. Puffed wheat is such a bad cereal, it comes in a plastic bag, all right? And if you don't understand cereal hierarchy and how it goes, let's just take a little trip down the cereal aisle of your favorite grocery store and I'll explain it to you, okay? You walk in and the very first cereals you see on your left are going to be the $8 and $9 boxes of Kashi cereal, right? The stuff that gives you dribble farts 20 minutes after you're done eating it. That's that stuff, okay? The next batch of cereals you see are the name brand gourmet chocolate covered sugar bombs that your kids love so much. The next batch of cereals you see are the generic organic cereals, the ones that'll cause you to shit through a screen door at 20 paces because they're pure fiber, okay? The next batch of cereals you see are the generic chocolate-covered sugar bombs that your kids love so much. The next batch of cereals you see are the EBT and Wix cereals. The next batch of cereals you see are the plastic bag cereals, okay? So what I'm telling you is kids who lived in the back of a 1974 Pinto hatchback had better cereal than I did, and I grew up in a house, okay? Comes in a plastic bag. Everything in the free world that comes in a plastic bag comes with a warning. Says right on the bag, warning, choking hazard, warning, suffocation hazard, warning. Keep away from small children, right? Not puffed wheat. No, it's like the manufacturer saying, hey kid, your life started out in the dumps, finish your breakfast and go off yourself. Stay with me. Puffed wheat is such a bad cereal that even puffed wheat doesn't want to be in the bowl. You had to hold it down when you poured the milk because it just floated up to the surface. You had to mash it back in. And an hour later you were pooping coolers because I'm pretty sure it was just made of styrofoam. I got through all of that way quicker than I thought I would. You know what? Now we're just gonna freewheel through this. It's gonna get weird in a second. My dad has dementia, and we took him out for lunch. Yeah, hooray! Dementia's fun. So we took him out for lunch the other day, and I said, Dad, where do you want to go for lunch? And he said, oh, I'd like to go to Applebee's. Right away, I know his brain's so fried. So why Applebee's? Well, they've got I like Applebee's. That's good food. Okay, well, what do you want to do afterward? I'd like to go to Aldi's. They got the really good stuff at Aldi's. I want to go shopping at Aldi's. And I was like, Dad, no. He said, no, but they have good food. And I'm like, no, Dad, that's like saying you want that good government cheese. No, we just don't do that, okay? All right, that's a new one. You guys like your government cheese? All right, I'm not going to take that from you. The last thing I'll tell you is a buddy of mine writes a lot of songs, right? He's got a lot of songs. And one day I asked him, I said, Gil, you got a lot of music. What's your favorite song? And Gil says to me, he goes, Ron, I can't think of my favorite song. That would be like asking you to tell me which one is your favorite kid. And I got offended. And I said, hold on just a second, Gil. Here's the thing. I got 3 kids. 3 kids. And don't compare my music my kids to your music, okay? First of all, my kids were conceived and born in a beautiful and miraculous situation. Most of the songs you wrote while you were pooping. So that's the first problem right there. Let's not make that comparison. As long as we're talking about your bad decision making, let's talk about that man bun and goatee you're wearing. You get rid of that man bun because you look like a complete idiot, sir. And you're one of those guys that likes to talk about how delicious IPAs are. And I'm sorry, Gil, IPAs are the worst beer on the face of the planet, and I'll tell you why. If you look up IPAs in Wikipedia, they will tell you that IPAs were made bad intentionally so they could survive the trip across the ocean to get to India, and they wouldn't go, oh, these taste terrible. Yeah, they tasted terrible when they left town. You're drinking shitty beer and trying to tell me it's good. It's not good. It's the worst beer imaginable, Gil. Just keep that in mind. And you're also probably one of those guys that only listens to records because you like the way music is supposed to sound. I will tell you something, Gil, that is not how music is supposed to sound. Do you know how I know? Because I've seen like 100 live bands perform, and I've never once seen a guy on stage playing the bubble wrap so you can hear pops and cracks in your music, Gil, okay? And here's another thing. I got a favorite kid. I got 3 kids, and I got a favorite kid. It ain't one of mine, but I definitely got one, okay? Thanks so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Lamprecht.
Keep it going for Ron, ladies and gentlemen, Ron Lamprecht. Woo!